So Namibia's recent discovery is reshaping Southern Africa, and South African companies are already moving in to claim their share. Today we're looking at what's going on across the border, while the SABC may not make it to 2026, and now South Africa's new parental leave ruling could leave taxpayers footing an enormous bill. Plus, in the Wildcard, the coastal park that proves that our country still hides its wildest frontiers in plain sight. My friends, be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss the stories that matter. And now, with all that out the way, let's get into it. So just across South Africa's border, Namibia is quietly turning into the region's new land of opportunity. You see, massive oil and gas findings off its coast have put the country on the map, and the world is taking notice. I mean, analysts say it could become one of Africa's wealthiest economies within a decade, powered by discoveries that could make it a top 15 global oil producer by 2035. And let's just say the transformation is already visible on the ground. I mean, cargo through Walvis Bay is surging, hotels are booked out, and companies like Bidvest are rushing to expand their logistic hubs with new 120 million rand terminals. Even our biggest banks are staking their claim. Standard Bank CEO says that Namibia could soon see growth of up to 7% a year, calling it Africa's next big growth story. And look, it's not just hype. I mean, Namibia was recently ranked the continent's #1 destination for foreign investments and second worldwide relative to its size. Now, for South African business, it's the closest thing to a frontier boom on our doorstep, supporting the same currency. It's got a strong legal system and now a tidal wave of oil money about to start flowing. The SABC's latest annual report is out, and many are calling it a masterclass in denial. You see, the broadcaster lost 253 million rand last year, burned through almost all of its cash reserves, and collected just 15% of the TV licenses it billed, meaning that 85% of South Africans simply didn't bother to pay. And as many observers pointed out, it's hard to blame them. But so here's the real kicker. You see, even the ads that should have made money aren't being played. So how's this? Internal reports show that presenters across their major radio stations skipped more than 800 paid ads in a single month. This means that airtime that had already been sold, invoiced, and then had to be refunded to clients. So critics say it's the kind of own goal that explains why advertisers are losing so much faith in them. Yet management's response was to call the existing system no longer legitimate or relevant and pin their hopes on a new streaming platform called SABC Plus, a move that some have called wildly optimistic given that even Showmax, backed by MultiChoice, lost 5 billion rand in the last year alone. So as a result of all of this, Parliament's Communications Committee has warned that unless a new funding model is in place by December, the country's public broadcaster could soon be off air for good. South Africa's Constitutional Court has redrawn the rulebook on parental leave, and it could have major consequences for the country's labour laws and the Unemployment Insurance Fund. So the court ruled that maternity and paternity leave must now be shared equally between parents, declaring the old laws 4 months for mothers and just 10 days for fathers unconstitutional. So over the next 3 years, Parliament has to rewrite the legislation to make the system gender neutral and extend equal rights to both adoptive and surrogate parents. So unions have hailed it as a landmark for gender equality, but behind the celebrations, MPs are warning of the price tag. You see, the UIF already pays out roughly 18 billion rand a year, and legal experts say that this new framework could impose an enormous financial burden if both parents start claiming full benefits. Supporters argue that the fund is well-resourced and that it's time that men share childcare responsibilities. Critics, though, say that the math just doesn't add up. Either way, Parliament now has 36 months to figure out how equality and sustainability can coexist on the same payslip. And before we cruise on to our Bagel Bite of the day, here's a couple other headlines worth knowing. For starters, Ramaphosa has lost his bid to halt a 168 million rand damages case brought forth by families of apartheid-era victims. The High Court ruled that the case must proceed, calling government's attempt to delay it ironic after 20 years of inaction. Airlink says it may suspend ticket sales in Mozambique after being unable to repatriate local revenue. Now, despite assurances from the central bank, millions remain frozen, part of more than 22 billion rand in blocked global airline funds. And Toyota South Africa's CEO says that outdated luxury taxes are driving up car prices, even with entry-level models being taxed like premium vehicles. He's urging government to overhaul the system or risk crippling our local car manufacturing. And on to our bagel bite of the day. Let's see what you got. The question is, which European explorer was the first to reach India by sea? Was it A, Ferdinand Magellan, B, Christopher Columbus, or C, Vasco da Gama? Bonus points if you know in which year he reached it. And on to our wildcard section. Look, there aren't many places on Earth where you can watch elephants walk through dunes, crocs cruise past flamingos, and hippos share space with whales. But Isimangaliso Wetland Park up the KZN North Coast somehow fits it all into one coastline. So it was reportedly South Africa's first UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it's basically like a real-life nature glitch. You got coral reefs meeting savanna, rhinos roaming near the dunes, and hippos genuinely wandering onto beaches at night. Locals call it the Miracle and the Mouth because the St. Lucia estuary links 200 kilometers of wetlands straight to the Indian Ocean. So UNESCO lists it as exceptional biodiversity, but that undersells it. I mean, this is one of the few places on Earth where ancient dunes, mangroves, and grasslands coexist. A reminder that South Africa still hides wild frontiers in plain sight. And look, if that sounds like your kind of weekend, give it a go. It's right on our doorstep. And as for that bagel bite, the answer is Vasco da Gama, the Portuguese explorer who first reached India by sea in 1498, sailing around the Cape of Good Hope and opening the route that reshaped global trade forever. I mean, his voyage went on to turn the Indian Ocean into Europe's new economic highway. And my friends, that's it for today's show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you guys have all had a great start to the week, and I'll catch you all tomorrow for the next round of the good stuff. God bless.